Evening, boys. VR time. So, Sean PompeyGamesRoom, thanks for the nomination, mate. Really appreciated that. I don't often, well, I think this might actually be the first VR that I've been asked to do. I've done VRs before. I did one to Yorkshireman 66, top 10 GameCube, a while back now. He didn't ask me to do that one. That was just a community challenge, and I jumped on board. So Sean, I was chuffed, mate. I really was chuffed when you gave me the nod to one of your 5 picks to do the VR, and I really enjoyed watching your video, mate. Hearing all your stories, all your memories. Actually, it reminds me, I found something today, and I thought of you. I'll just cover up my personal details on here, but so yes, mate. I was I was at Chichester College myself back in the day. This was probably about, oh, it says on there 2012 to 2013. I was there doing a photography course. It was only like a 10-week course, but yeah, I was down at Chichester College. I'm from Kent, so it's sort of noteworthy to me that I was in Sean's neck of the woods, and I always get a bit of a kick when I hear you talk about Chichester and Portsmouth and stuff. I gather you'd long since graduated from college at that time, but yeah, I'm pretty familiar with the area. Portsmouth, not so much. There is a retro game shop in Portsmouth. Not a shop. It's a retro game. It's everything's set up for you to go in and play the games and stuff. I'm trying to think what it's called. Is it Game Over? Game Over. I think you probably know which one I'm talking about. It's on the it's just off the main high street somewhere. It's not a lot of help, I know, but yeah, I've been there a few times with my bro. We had a few days out and called in there and sat and played some games, and always had a good time. But yeah, I always enjoy your stories, and yeah, really, I think, and we've seen. So Steve's done a VR already. There's a new YouTuber I've only just come across who's also done a VR. So that's Retro and Import Gamer UK. So I'm going to stick a link to his channel in the down in the description for this video. So it's been interesting to see some responses already, and I think it's. Do you know what? I think I think it's such a good memory to have. If that memory of the first system you ever bought with your own money, I think that's pretty special. And yeah, I take my hat off to you lads. And because the thing with me is I'm not. So I've got an answer for you today. What I think is the first console I've ever bought with my own money, but I'm not certain. It was down to 2. It was either the PS2 or the GameCube, and I think it was probably the PS2. November. Was it into 2000? It came out. It was start of 2001. I'm not too sure, mate. I think maybe people had it for Christmas. This is why I've got a bit of doubt. That I not real doubt, but I wouldn't put my house on it that this was the first console I bought, because I have a lot of memories of people getting it for Christmas that year. PS2, GTA 3. Quite a lot of my mates were on board and got the PS2 that year for Christmas. And there's an outside chance that I asked for it and got it for Christmas as well. But I've got a feeling this was the first one I bought. So if it was end of 2000, start 2001, I was still at sixth form, but I was working in a sports shop. So I was earning a little bit of money. So I just think it probably was, but I can't be certain. But I'm going with it for the video, and I'm going to turn it into a bit of a collection video as well. So this is now this isn't the first PS2 I bought. This is the second PS2. So it's the fat, chunky silver, and this doesn't work anymore, so the lens is knackered on that. The first one I ever bought was the black chunky silver, black chunky PS2. That got knackered pretty quick as well. I think as has been pointed out, this was when sort of VHSs, not VHSs, when DVDs were getting quite big as well. So it was obviously probably played CDs on there, DVDs, and a lot of games. So I've got through 2 PS2s, knackered them both out. Kind of been on a bit of a downer on the system as a retro system, you know, all these years later, because I did experience 2 of them packing in. But that's has been the same with all my disc drive based consoles really. You know, that's my second Xbox One. Although that's my next to it's my, I think, second 360, because I think when you're running a disc reading console, that you are prone to. I think with the 360 it's because the disc tray tended to get a bit tired out. Xbox One sorted that out because there isn't a tray; it just pops in and out. But yeah, I suppose there's just a lot of moving parts, and it does happen. I haven't really got a lot of willing to collect for the PS2 anymore. I've got the majority of the games I've ever owned for the system. I've still got. Some did get traded in, some got sold, and I have bought a select few titles in recent years for the system. But again, yeah, I'm not collecting massively for this system. But I do believe that it probably was the first system I ever bought with my own money. So let's go with that. See, why I like these videos so much is because you remember where you got it. So we had Sean, we had the story about you getting on the bus, dodgy part of town and stuff. Really good story that, and the story Steve told about getting buyer's remorse within 3 hours, that really made me laugh. Unfortunately, I don't have that recollection of where I got the system from. So my earliest memory of having the system would have been playing GTA 3. So I put a lot of time into that. And well, I'll tell you what, the easiest way to sort of talk a little bit about PS2 would be to just rinse through the games quick. So I'm going to start with I've got some of these cheat discs that came with the magazines. Don't think I ever got around to using these. Another one. And another one. This one could be quite useful. Playable cheats for the GTA series. Right, I'm going to read through the games quick. Starting with Resident Evil 4. This is actually probably this is the newest addition to this collection. My mate up north sent me this. Cheers, Lee, if you're watching. Resident Evil 4, played that finally on the Xbox One last year. I tried to get into that game a couple of times, and that little bit at the start where you get swarmed in the village, it put me off a little bit. I thought, nah, this game's a bit hard. But once the penny dropped, I thought, okay. I thought it was going to be like a real tough slog to get through that game, but it throws you in at the deep end early doors, and once you get past that hump, then you're away. So I'm glad I stuck with that. Went back to it and played it, and no doubt I'll revisit that again. Not my favourite in the series, but not bad at all. Yeah, definitely a fan of that. Next is a game that I don't think I've showed this before. So this was very kindly sent to me by the other James, Flashback TNT. He knew I was after this because I've been having some conversations with Pete SNEStastic, who's always bigging this game up. And James knew that I wanted it, and he was out and about. He saw a copy, so he very kindly sent it my way. And got the note. That was cool. So thanks once again, James. I've not actually played this yet, but I certainly intend to. I know it's a good game. Right, next. Yeah, this is a fairly recent-ish pickup as well. I think probably three or 4 years ago I picked this up in the CEX. Not played it yet. I haven't had a PS2 set up since God knows when. Next, right, so I think the majority of them from this point on are from the original collection. So these are my actual games that I had. So Need for Speed Underground. I remember being a fan of this one. Didn't play the series much past this instalment, but I do remember liking this one. Next is Pro Evo 5. Not my favourite two players on the front there, but yeah, this was decent. I think this was. I was always a bit more of a Pro Evo fan than FIFA, but this is the last instalment of the game that I played, I think probably ever. I have recently started playing PES 6 on the 360, but that's a different story. Next is FIFA 06. Remember that being pretty decent, if you like your football games, that is. And here's another one, Fifa Street. This was pretty addictive to stick on and play when it first came out. Very arcadey. Right, now this is a game that I sunk a lot of time into, and that is Smackdown, Here Comes a Payne. I was an N64 fan. N64 was my console of that generation, and for me, N64 is home of the best wrestling games that have ever been made. Certainly not the best looking, but the best wrestling games gameplay wise, without a doubt. For me, I think a lot of purists would say the same thing, but this is the game that outside of those the N64 series of wrestling games, this is without a doubt my favourite non-N64. Do you know what? I'm really fucking struggling to speak this evening. It's been a long day. Sip a beer, that'll help. Yeah, this is my favourite of the non-N64 wrestling games. Just love this one. This was great. I played this to death, especially with my mate. And my mate was pretty creative, the old creative wrestlers as well. So we had some. He made some pretty diabolical creations and stuff, and we used to have a lot of fun with that. Oh, this is one I picked up in a charity shop. This is The Suffering. I think I watched my mate play that back in the day, but I've not. This is actually another. So, is it fair to say probably 1/3 of these are games that I've picked up recently? Well, when I say recently, I mean the last 5 or 6 years, as opposed to them being originally in my collection. This is another one. Picked this up, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. It was one I always wanted to play. I never got round to playing it, so I've grabbed it. I don't expect to enjoy it as much as I do GTA, but I'll give it a go. I don't think I paid a lot for it either. Next up, Tekken Tag. Not got a whole lot of experience with this one. I'm not really a fan of modern fighters. For me, fighters were 16-bit, and I could take them or leave them after that era. But I grabbed this because I didn't pay a lot for it, and I wanted to give it a crack. I think that the tag mechanic of the game is what appealed to me. So yeah, once I have got a bit of space, set consoles up, I'll set up the PS2 if I can get one that's working, that is, and I'll play some of this stuff. But it's just been gathering dust for a long time. Now we're talking. Here's a game, Final Fantasy X. It's the first Final Fantasy game I've ever played. It's the only one I've ever finished, and it's my favourite. And I've tried to play 7 a couple of times, never quite got into it. But this I really enjoyed this one. I think What was the Blitzball? That was it. I really enjoyed the Blitzball. It's not a side quest, but it's what the lead character. It's his sport, and you play a few games of it, and I always quite enjoyed that. But yeah, this was good. I was playing this through with a mate who would just always have a go. He'd always have this on the go. No matter how many times he finished it, he'd go back and play it again. And I think he still plays it to this day. He's got it on PS4, and he still plays it, still talks about it. And I remember playing it and completing it, and really quite liking it. And in a weird way, it didn't lead me to want to play any more Final Fantasy games, because this was everything I wanted from a fighting fantasy game, and then I kind of moved on. So yeah, but this is the original game. This is still the copy. Because I put so many hours in, enjoyed it so much, I thought I'd just always hold on to that. Whereas this was still at the point where I would trade games in, so a lot of my original games got moved on or swapped. Here's Max Payne. Anyway, this is the next game, Max Payne. This is a repurchase. I had it, moved it on, and picked this back up. I don't remember completing this. I found it a bit fiddly, but it's a Rockstar game. I think the first Max Payne game I ever finished was 3. But I've got this on the PS4 now, so and that's the case with quite a few of these games. I've bought them on PS4, and they've got trophy support, so it adds another element. Whatever you think of achievements and trophies and stuff, I think it adds another layer of enjoyment to the game. So yeah, got that on the. So I will play it, but I'll play it on PS4 because I want the trophies. There's another one that I've recently picked up. So I feel like I'm starting to tell fibs that the majority of these are my originals, because it's feeling like more like half and half now. But anyway, Smuggler's Run, because it's a Rockstar game and I like Rockstar games, but I've not played it yet. So that's all I'll say about that. Here's one I did play, and that is Canam Edit, aka Bully. Played this, completed it, enjoyed it. A bit dated now when you try and go back and play it, but really did enjoy this at the time. It was a bit of a cliche, but it was GTA in a school, and yeah, it was good. Right, next is Red Dead Revolver. Yet to play it. Just a big fan of Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2. So I wanted to pick this up for a while, and eventually did get around to getting this a couple of years ago, and I will give it a go. I think Steve Richard Red mentioned this as one of his favourite games of all time, but he had it on the Xbox. But yeah, glad to get a bit of a glowing review for that game from you, Steve. Next up for me is The Warriors. Big fan of the film. I wasn't a big fan of this. I was expecting to enjoy it more than I did, but I did kind of give up playing this pretty early, and I didn't really give it much of a chance. So I may well go back to it. So well, yeah, watch this space. If I do, I'll probably mention it on a video, because it's just such a classic film, and it's a Rockstar game, and I'm sure if I just sort of persevere to get past a bit that I've got to, then I'll probably enjoy it. Right, next up is Manhunt 2. I should probably talk about the first Manhunt first. So this is one of my most played games as well. I don't know quite what that says about me as a person, but fucking hell, I love this game. I certainly did back in the day. Me and my mate, who I talked about, who played a lot of Final Fantasy X, we used to just sit and play this at night, and we'd get in and a couple of beers and stuff, and we'd just sit and play this in the wee small hours, and it was just a good buzz. I mean, it's pretty sick. I think we all know it's pretty sick, but yeah, it was just it's just such an outrageous game, so dark and twisted, but just such a compelling. I just loved all the gangs. I loved all the settings. I love the plot actually. I think it's a really good plot. I'd love I think it's been mentioned a couple of times. Imagine we got a remaster of that. And I don't think we will, but that would be something. This is another one I've got on the PS4 store, so I'll go back and play it and sort of unlock trophies for it. It is a bit, what would you say? It has aged. The mechanics can a little bit frustrating compared to sort of modern games, but it's still got its sort of warped charm. So I'll probably always dip into that and have a go. So yeah, Manhunt 2. I got, I don't know, halfway in and stopped playing it. Maybe I'll go back. They did. I suppose it's just a miracle that this saw the light of day, considering the fuss around the first one. They did nerf the not cutscenes, but the death scenes, which was a bit of a shame, depending on what way you look at it. So yeah, I probably will dip back into that, but the first one will always be the best. Right, I'm just gonna change the order of these. So yeah, mentioned this one before. GTA 3, didn't finish it. Should have done, because I was banging into the game. Just, I don't know, something else must have come along and gobbled up all my time. I just felt, well, we'll get to that one. Next up is Vice City. Sadly, I missed this. I missed this. I don't know why. Just because I'm a fan of the film Scarface and that sort of. This is from that sort of Miami Coke setting, and the music and stuff. This would have been my cup of tea without a doubt. And I've never played it, to be honest. I've picked it up, as you can see, just never played it, and it's a shame. But another one I've bought on PS4, so I will try and play it at some point. Now this is my favourite of the PS2 era GTAs, and it's San Andreas. I got to the flight school, I think, on this originally back in the day on the PS2. Found that really hard, and no matter what I did, I couldn't get past that. So the game was just that was it for me. It was game over because I couldn't get past it. Now, when lockdown started last year, this is the first game I turned to and picked up and played, but it was on the Xbox, and I got past the flight school and I finished the game, so I was really pleased. Yeah, classic. Just this is a classic instalment of the game, I think, and it has yeah, I mean 4 and 5 I've really enjoyed, but I think for just pure, it's still a good game, but for nostalgia, this is the one for me. So I was really pleased to have finished that. That was just a touch. Again, playing it on Xbox One, unlocking achievements was good. It just adds another layer to playing games, I guess. Right, we're going to the last 3. This has gone 25 minutes. So, right, and they're all modern pickups. They're all modern. Not modern. These are all stuff that I've picked up recently-ish, last few years. From Russia with Love. Not played it, but I fucking loved it. Look at the cover. Look at that artwork. I love that. I mean, it's Sean Connery. It's Bond, and I love that cover. Don't expect it to be any EA, isn't it? I don't expect to enjoy it like I did GoldenEye back in the day, but I expect I will. I expect I'll enjoy it to some extent. Next up is 24. Took me quite a few goes to get into the TV series because it's that kind of slick fast-paced, unrealistic type of drama that I typically don't like, but something about it kind of clicked, and I did watch the whole series, and I saw this, and it was alright. I mean, it's ludicrous, but I don't know, maybe it's a bit of a guilty pleasure, perhaps. But yeah, it's all that in CEX 50p, yes please. Now this is a TV show that I think stands up. It's not everyone's cup of tea. The camera, the sort of wobbly camera, can make people feel a bit sick, but it's The Shield. This is one of my probably top 5 TV shows that I've watched. Well, dramas anyway, not including kind of comedies and stuff, but one of my top 5 dramas. I think it's a brilliant show. It is dark, and it is gritty, but it's not completely absurd and a complete insult to your intelligence. But it's good. It's really good. As for the game, I don't know. Not played it. That is everything. That is all the games. Yeah. What else is there to add, Sean? And this is it's been a real pleasure to sort of kind of attempt, I suppose, to remember the PS2 days, I guess. Just yeah, hats off to everyone who's got the memory of the first game, because it's something to be proud of, isn't it? I think, because you've got a job and you're earning money, you've saved up, and you've gone and bought yourself a system. It's a bit special. So yeah, it's good. I'm not certain, but I think PS2 was the system that I bought the first system I bought with my own money. Yeah, I can't see, because the GameCube was a year or two after, so I was Spectrum, Master System, Super Nintendo, N64, PS2, and then GameCube. Xbox passed me by. I didn't get that. I was put off by the fucking giant controller. Stupidly, because it's obviously a good system. But I was happy with the PS2. That's what I enjoy playing. Most of my mates had PS2 as well, so there's always that ability to swap games, trade games, go around each other's houses and play the games and stuff, and that's what we did. It was a good time. And yeah, Manhunt, WWF, Smackdown versus Raw, Here Comes the Payne, Final Fantasy X, GTA, San Andreas. These were my go-to games, I guess, on the system. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that I ended up trading in. Can't really remember. Yeah, that's it. That's my history with the PS2, and it's been a bit of a. I think there'd be a bit more conviction in my words if I knew for sure, where I got it from and had any stories surrounding it. But it was a while ago, and memory's a funny thing sometimes. I can remember stuff that happened far before the PS2. And anyway, so I've noticed that people are kind of leaving it open. So if anyone's watched this fucking drivel fest of mine, then consider yourself tagged. Most people are kind of leaving it open and not. Well, I know Steve didn't mention any names. He just said, if you've watched this video, then feel free to do a response. So I say the same thing. Anyone that's watched it, please do a response if you so moved to. But I have written a list of names. So if your name's on here, then consider yourself nominated to do the VR, or if you don't want to do the VR, or you've sort of talked about this already on another video, just consider yourself shouted out, and I'll put links. Not that anyone needs a shout out, but so we've got Owen, the boss who's 77. Be really good to hear a response from him. I don't know that everyone on here watches my stuff, but So if not, just consider yourself shouted out, I guess. Champion 2D Rob, Nathan's Gaming, Bluetonic 78 Alex, Galloway Gaming Glenn, love to see one from you, mate. Pete Fighter 2. The reason I put wildcard after Pete Fighter 2 was because I'd done 5 and then Pete was the 6th. So it was a bit cheeky because I was trying to keep it to 5. But then I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to fucking throw a load of names out there. So, yep, ClayGraphics, Mark, Burntoutculture, Drink and Games with Josh, Tony the Retronic Collector, Steve Koopas World, and Jim Corbana. Yeah, anyone watches this, it's just there's so many good YouTubers that I would shout out. You know, I've not even mentioned Geordie Slasher or Cole's Room 70. There's so many cracking tubers, but I thought, well, I'm taking a piss now getting to 10, so I'll just stop there, and hopefully the series gets around, and you'll see a few of these VRs hopefully from people that are able to articulate a little bit better than me. Yeah, it has been a long old day, and we're getting on for 31 minutes, so I suppose yeah, I'm going to go back and I'm going to switch off now and watch a bit of footy, and yeah, hopefully got another video that I wanted to get out this week actually, so hopefully I'll be in a bit of better form for that. But yeah, anyway, if you've watched this far, then thanks ever so much for watching. Sean, chuffed to bits when you gave me a shout out, mate, to do a VR. So yeah, although I've kind of stumbled my way through, it's been a pleasure to do it, mate. So thanks ever so much. And yeah, cheers for watching. Take care.